What is the definition of success? So what are you striving to achieve and why? Let's just have a bit of a laugh with it and see where it goes. Be open-minded. So sat down with Mike from Brand New World. Hi, Mr. Potts.
Jason, Mr. Moo.
And what are we talking about today? What would you like to ask me, fella?
Hey, I think we're talking about business planning, aren't we? I think that's what we've been talking about for the last sort of 3 months as I've been on my journey, planning Brand New World and the vision for my business. I think what I'd like to really get across is how removing complexity from the process is really key to a successful business plan, an effective business plan. On that term, effective business plan, Jace, you say to me, and you have said to me a lot over the last few months, that lots of businesses build plans, and they build plans, and they never reference them. Mm-hmm. They don't actually use them. What is an effective business plan?
Yeah, do you know, I think the way my mind works whenever I talk about this is I find it easier to actually, because I cling on to scenarios in the past where it's been done really badly. So I think the learning for me was about actually seeing how not to do it. And I've seen it many times done really, really badly. I think the thing I really struggle with is the terminology. So you talked about complexity. I think quite often the phrases and terms that are used, quite often business phrasey terms, vision, mission, they rhyme. It's amazing the amount of times I've heard people say, so what's the difference between the vision and the mission, or what should it be included in one or the other? So that in itself says, do you know what, we're missing the point, because if we have to actually think about what it is, then how are we going to include something that's relevant? So and the reality is that I don't think people have ever really been shown how to do it, and I guess I have been shown by somebody. I think a great starting point. The great starting point with any plan, you can call it a business plan, but let's just call it a plan. You've got to understand what is the definition of success. So what are you striving to achieve and why? And that is the most critical thing. Because you know what, if it's interesting, if it's achievable, if it's exciting, if there's a reason behind it, and then it's so much more likely to happen, and that for me is a starting point.
And I can really speak from experience when you're talking about vision, mission, all these buzzwords. It can be really quite polarising when you sat down there with a piece of paper. And I know at times I found myself on search engines looking to define the subtleties between the two. And this plan was for myself, ultimately. And if I'm not in a position to put it into my own terms so I can digest it, then who's it going to benefit? I think one thing that really rang true as well when we started our planning process together, Jace, was that business plan and life plan aren't mutually exclusive terms. We need to intertwine the two to have any chance of happiness, because it comes down to happiness, doesn't it, at the end of the day? And one thing, one process that we went through first, prior to any business plan, was a process that you called the magic wand. And let's be clear, we started from a blank piece of paper, which is a luxury, okay? So we weren't looking to take an existing business and build a plan, a progression plan for the future. We were looking to start something. And you went through this magic wand exercise with me. And I just think it'd be really beneficial, really, for you to just go into a bit of detail around that.
Yeah, and I guess it was the first time that I ever, it's the time that I always look back to in terms of the most effective way of getting this across was using the magic wand. And so anybody who I sit down with, if we're going through a planning process, in order to actually establish and to try and picture something in the future that represents something ace, something that they really want to achieve, it's using the magic wand. So effectively, you've got to try and give somebody this imaginary magic wand and just say, right, we're going to have a bit of fun. Do you know what? We're talking planning, but you know, we're going to have a bit of fun. And we need to pick a moment in time in the future, right? And this magic wand, and you can describe what your life is. Okay, and you can say whatever you want, right? And it can be work, it can be, you know, outside of work. It just describe your life, you know. And for me, that's the starting point to really understand what somebody's motives is, what they want to achieve. You know, clearly they're almost certainly going to be talking about the business within that, but they will be talking about personal stuff, and they might talk about more personal stuff than business. But it's really just understanding, okay, what actually floats your boat? Because you know what, if we're going to go through this process and do it justice, at some point we're going to agree some actions, right? And if we really believe in that, those actions have got to be the right ones. Okay. So we've got to make sure this bit is right. But initially, that first 20 minutes or so is about having a bit of fun. And the other thing I would say is just trying to encourage people not to be embarrassed about stuff that they say. So if you've got something that, if you want to buy a house and live in Barbados, then you know what, say it. You know, have a laugh with it, enjoy it, you know, as opposed to, I think too many people, they don't dream or they don't think of something special because instantly they start thinking about reasons or challenges or things why they can't actually get there. And do you know what? This whole process is buggered if you start thinking like that. So you've just got to have a bit of fun with it and just say, right, that's 20 minutes, let's just, you know, and I guess questions that I'll ask are, you know, where are you in 5 years' time? Are you still working? Are you still in the business? Where do you live? What are you driving? Are you going on holiday? What are you doing that actually, you know, makes your life ace? Because that's what I want you to describe, an ace life. And it's just bouncing that around, and inside 2 minutes, people like doing it.
Yeah, and it's removing the logic at the start as well, isn't it? Because one thing that's clear is that as we've gone through our planning process together, we've built in loads of logic and sort of pragmatism, but it actually starts off with the opposite, which is don't worry about the future. Don't worry about the building blocks. Just define what happiness is. And I found it, and I'll be honest, just speaking from a personal point of view, I found that intimidating. I found that a little bit difficult because instantly my mind wants to find context. So if I was to say to you, I want to be a millionaire. I want to live on a private island in Bermuda, and it sounds great. But I'll automatically start quantifying what it'll take in order to achieve that. And that isn't what a process is about, is it?
You can't, to do that justice, you can't, you've got to have a laugh with it and you've got to free yourself up. You know, the reality is that further down the process, right, we're going to ask questions about actually stuff to do with your business, stuff to do with how big that business needs to be and how profitable that business needs to be. There will be stress tests further down to establish, do you know what? Okay, that's what you want to achieve given your magic wand. Now we're starting to talk about your business, starting to talk about the work-life balance that you want, starting to talk about the people that you want, how big it's going to be. And do you know what? Then it becomes obvious if there's a gap. Because you're thinking, well, okay, if you want to buy Bermuda, but actually you only want to work 18 hours a week and have a team of 3, then when I go through this process, it is amazing how often people describe that dream, and then when we start talking about the other stuff, do you know what? It's never a million miles away.
No.
Now, that's not to say they're going to achieve it, but they can.
So what we're talking about at the start really is the importance of some context, really, and that was a great starting point for me, because it gave you the opportunity as my business coach to be able to challenge at every opportunity positively and in an informed way. So, and after we went through this magic wand exercise, the next stage was to put together a 2-page skeleton document, wasn't it, of what we wanted the business to be. But just before we go on to that document, Jace, like, not everyone who's watching this is going to have the benefit of it's not everyone's going to have the benefit of your services. Like, is this magic wand exercise something that you'd recommend that people do on their own, or is it something that you'd recommend that they do in conjunction with someone else?
Do you know what? You don't need somebody else to do it. The thing that I do that enables people to do it is it's just giving them that really simple context. I'm giving you a magic wand.
Yeah.
Do you know what? And straight away you think, well, there ain't no magic wands in the world. It's like, well, you never know. There might be.
Yeah.
So, if you had a magic wand, and then when people start saying, yeah, I'd like to build my accountancy business up to this, and I'd like to this, and and it's just like, what, you'd really want to do that with your magic wand? I mean, like, not the accountancy business. But actually, if anybody does want to be an accountant, I would really question, are you using a magic
You've got a magic wand.
Does an accountant really want to be an accountant? But it's like, it's just describing it, and people tend to be sort of, they won't think that big because they're subconsciously thinking about, actually, this is going to be too hard or I'll fail. Count a little bit if you actually, if you firm something up. And you can see it in people, like, if they're using it, because they start thinking and they start smiling. And coming out with good stuff, and you can say, and it's not good as in, I'm saying it's good. It's good because you can tell that it's something which is special to them, and and it's about having a bit of fun. Go into it thinking just because you're saying it doesn't mean that's it. We're going to write it down and you've got to do it. Let's just have a bit of a laugh with it and see where it goes. Just be open-minded. Have a bit of a laugh with it and see where it goes. Just be open-minded.